The verdict in the Glen Ridge sex attack trial. The Shame on You team confronts a crooked cabbie who's had no problem taking his customers for a ride. That and more next.
This is Channel 2 News at 6.
Good evening. New York Post staffers stage a revolt. Can the tabloid survive?
As you know, the Post is in peril. The latest change of owners has heightened the confusion surrounding the future of the paper. And this morning, staffers printed an edition that was an open challenge to the Post's new boss. Channel 2's Marcia Kramer is live at the paper with more. Marcia?
Well, Michelle, today's edition of the New York Post may turn out to be the most famous one the newspaper has ever published. Instead of the usual mix of news and features, the paper devoted its entire news section to digging a hole for would-be Post owner Abe Hirschfeld and the man he wants to edit the paper, Bill Tatum.
It's not a gimmick. This isn't designed to hurt anybody or just to call a little bit of attention to ourselves. We're trying to call a lot of attention to ourselves because the paper is desperately in jeopardy as long as Abraham Hirschfeld is empowered by the court to run it.
The editors and reporters of the New York Post worked for 24 hours to put out this special edition of the Post, one so special that the traditional racy headlines were abandoned in favor of a single picture, one clearly worth more than 1,000 words. It is of Post founder Alexander Hamilton with a tear dripping from his eye. But the tear was misleading. The only thing dripping inside the Post was venom. On page 2, reporters and editors pleaded for another buyer to come forward and to save the Post from developer Abe Hirschfeld, the man empowered to buy the paper by a federal bankruptcy judge. Page 3 had a story about Hirschfeld with the headline, "Who is this nut?" Hirschfeld loved it, saying he was just thrilled to have 10 pages of stories devoted to him.
That's the best thing that ever happened. I could never expect a better edition because the results always counts. People are standing in line to get the newspaper.
Also skewered was the man Hirschfeld wants to be editor of the paper, Wilbert Tatum, the publisher of the Amsterdam News. The paper labeled him Hatem Tatum and criticized him for supporting Tawana Brawley, Professor Leonard Jeffries, and the young men convicted of rape in the Central Park jogger case. Tatum definitely didn't love it the way Hirschfeld did.
I find that what they did was to get the New York Post off rolling to a start that takes all the vindictiveness that they have harbored for years and put it under one cover and sign their names to it. I find it incredibly stupid.
And if the drama of the special edition of the Post rolling off the presses wasn't enough, there was also the return of editor Pete Hamill for Post staffers to deal with. Hamill had reportedly been dumped by Hirschfeld on Friday, but today he said he was back and intended to stay. The question is, what exactly will he do?
For myself, the editor-in-chief is definitely going to be Bill Tatum.
And could Pete work under him?
I don't know. It's up to Bill Tatum, not up to me.
Well, Hamill and the other Post staffers spent the day putting together tomorrow's edition. They're being kind of secretive about it, but what we can tell you, it will have a green stripe. That's the stripe that the paper traditionally has on St. Patrick's Day. But you can expect a few stories about Tatum and Hirschfeld, said one editor. We're going to keep up our campaign to find another buyer. Reporting live from the New York Post, I'm Marcia Kramer, and now back to the studio.
Marcia, any idea why Bill Tatum was selected?
Well, I think one of the things that Abe Hirschfeld is trying to do is to bring the city's diverse ethnic groups together. And as you know, Bill Tatum is the publisher of the Amsterdam News. And one of the things that they're planning on doing, according to Tatum, is trying to bring in the publishers of El Diario, a Spanish language newspaper, as well, in some kind of joint publishing agreement.
Marcia, thank you. This evening, 4 years after the Glen Ridge sexual assault case exploded into the headlines, the deliberations are over and the verdict is in. New Jersey correspondent Ren Scott joins us now from Newark with the fate of the 4 former athletes charged in the assault.
Well, Jim, for the past 8 days, we have been speculating as to what this jury may have been thinking, and in some areas we are still speculating because they left this courthouse without talking in depth to any member of the press. But this much we do know: they voted guilty on 3 of the 9 counts in this indictment in what prosecutors are calling a landmark case in protecting the mentally retarded against rape. As the verdicts were read, the four young men showed no emotion, but afterwards their attorneys voiced their anger over not only the verdict, but the entire trial.
They did not have before them all of the evidence that we thought should be before them. And if the jury had been able to see the evidence that it was not able to see, the verdict might have been different.
And as they left the courtroom, the friends and the families of the four young men voiced their feelings as well.
Mr. Scherzer, do you have any comments? We're upstairs.
22-year-old twins Kevin and Kyle Scherzer and 20-year-old Christopher Archer were each found guilty on 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault and 1 count of conspiracy to commit sexual assault. They each face between 10 and 20 years in prison. 21-year-old Bryant Grober was convicted of just 1 reduced charge of conspiracy and will probably not spend any time in jail. Women's groups who have been following the trial say the defendants got what they deserve.
We think it's a good verdict. We were very pleased to see that this jury was able to move beyond the rape myths and the lies about rape that were argued by the defense attorneys in this case.
It was more than 4 years ago, in March of 1989, that the 4 young men lured a mentally retarded girl into the basement of one of their Glen Ridge homes and sexually assaulted her with a broom and a baseball bat. The defense contended that the girl consented to the sex, but after 8 days of intense deliberations, the jury of 5 men and 7 women agreed with the prosecution that the victim was mentally defective and therefore incapable of giving her consent.
Well, we said from the very beginning of this case that this is a different case. When you use bats, broomsticks, implements of this nature, this is pure unmitigated violence.
Despite the objections of the prosecution, the 4 young men were released on bond pending their sentencing on April 23rd. And in the town of Glen Ridge, where reaction to the verdict was mixed, people say they're just relieved that it's finally over.
I'm hoping our justice system served us right, and I'm just waiting for Glen Ridge to get back to normal.
I'm glad, that's all I can say. I feel badly for the parents of the boys, and I feel bad that they wrecked their lives, but I mean, that's how it is.
Now, in arguing against this bail issue, prosecutor Glenn Goldberg dropped a bit of a bombshell when he revealed that Chris Archer may now be a suspect in yet another alleged rape, which happened back in 1989 up at Boston College, where he is now a student. He said he may use that information when he appeals this bail issue, perhaps as high as the state Supreme Court. As for the defense attorneys in this case, they say they are already considering their grounds for an appeal. That's the latest from the Essex County Courthouse. I'm Ren Scott. Let's go back to our studios in New York.
Thank you, Ren. A Long Island doctor has been found guilty tonight of giving faulty mammograms. The Nassau County Board of Health has charged Dr. Padma Ram with performing substandard breast x-rays on more than 200 women. Today, Dr. Ram was fined $170,000 and was ordered to notify the women who had the mammograms. Health officials say so far Ram has refused to release the patients' names, saying she's protected under the doctor-patient confidentiality law.
The wrangling over the St. Patrick's Day parade continues at this hour, with the parade just 17 hours off before it begins. The official parade set to start up Fifth Avenue. The Irish Lesbian and Gay Organization lost a court battle today for a permit to march down Fifth Avenue tomorrow. The judge said that could have caused a confrontation with the Ancient Order of Hibernians, who'll be marching up the avenue. ILGO now says it too will march up the avenue well in advance of the regular parade, but without a permit.
You're talking about an immigrant community. It's like a family. And basically what the message is you are not part of our family. And we're saying, well, excuse me, we are. And we're not going away anywhere. And the sooner you get used to it, the better, really, because we're not going to give up this fight.
Some area politicians are going to be boycotting tomorrow's regular parade, which will begin at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
A fire in a Chicago hotel has left at least 13 people dead tonight and others injured. Firefighters say intense flames kept them from entering the residential hotel for more than 2 hours early this morning. People trapped inside reportedly had to resort to jumping out and even tying sheets together to lower themselves to safety. Investigators think the fire was set by someone doing work inside the building.
This evening, an autopsy on the body of Wilfred Mercado shows the final victim of the World Trade Center bombing died immediately by the massive impact of the blast. Governor Jim Florio of New Jersey toured the crater under the Trade Center today, near where Mercado's body was discovered yesterday. The governor spoke of punishing the bombers with the death penalty if they're convicted. But with the suspects all from the Muslim community, Florio also warned against the dangers of generalizations. Florio's concerns were echoed by leaders of the National Ethnic Coalition during a rally at City Hall today.
We have more news to tell you about the killer cleanup after the killer storm. Coming up tonight, the area digs out while the mounds of snow and ice are causing gridlock in Manhattan. We will have a live report.
Plus, our Shame on You cameras catch a cab driver red-handed cheating a passenger. That story when we return.
Channel 2 News, sponsored by Honda.
With its distinctive aerodynamic shape, anti-lock brakes, advanced engine technology, and roomy interior, the Honda Civic EX sedan is often admired by other car makers. Some we know, some we don't.
In Italy, the sauces are superb, the pastas incomparable, the bread unbeatable. The classic taste of Italy is captured in every slice of D'Italiano real Italian bread. Its hearty taste and home-baked flavor give any meal or sandwich the perfect accent. There's only one Italy, and only one real Italian bread, D'Italiano.
Dan and Sue were a California couple who had it all. $1 million estates, private jets, Armani clothes, a black Ferrari, a Rolls Royce, and diamonds that went on forever. All on $56 grand a year. They call it good luck and good investments. The feds call it mail fraud, money laundering, and embezzlement. $7 million worth. Dan and Sue's Millions on the next hard copy.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 2.
Higher taxes are upon us, but you can protect yourself with Dreyfus tax-free funds. At Dreyfus, we offer 30 of them. And since we pioneered tax-free mutual funds, you could say we've developed pretty good instincts. For more information and a free prospectus, call 1-800-TAX-FREE. Dreyfus tax-free funds. Survival of the smartest.
Now, held over, a coast-to-coast savings event. It's the National Jeep Sale, still on at your Jeep and Eagle dealer. Lease or buy a four-wheel drive Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo at special savings. Get $500 cash back when you buy or lease Wrangler. Lease or buy four-wheel drive Cherokee Sport and get special lease rates and cash back. So hurry today, because while our vehicles know no limits, our sales do.
There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers.
While the tri-state area is slowly cleaning up from the blizzard of '93, the dimensions of the storm are becoming more clear. New York City officials say it'll take 2 weeks and $10 million to clean it all up. And it's hired temporary workers to help dig out the piles of snow at $8 an hour. In New Jersey, the death toll from the storm has increased to 6, and there are still delays at Newark Airport. LaGuardia and Kennedy are said to be operating normally. Connecticut was one of 8 states approved for federal disaster aid today by President Clinton. And all across the area, people are having a hard time getting around, forced to climb over mountains of slush and icy snow at every intersection. Sidewalks are still icy and snowed in, and cars still clog many of the side streets in the outer boroughs and Manhattan as well.
And to continue that thought, the leftover snow is piled up in the streets, and that's causing a citywide gridlock in Manhattan tonight. Channel 2's Vic Miles is live on 8th Avenue with more on the traffic nightmare. What's going on, Vic?
Well, I tell you, Michelle, it's gridlock in the 30s, from the 30s to the 60s, and from river to river. It's a solid block of traffic. It's one of those things that has been going on for all day. It's a monumental traffic jam that's been holding the city in a vice-like grip since noontime today.
Early this afternoon, it seemed as if Midtown was trying to choke itself to death. There was precious little movement, the only signs of life in the endless reams of traffic, an occasional tremble.
People are getting upset. I don't know why. They know they were told not to take their cars into the city, so now they gotta put up with gridlock.
They mightn't have felt so bad if they realized they were dealing with a classic here, about the worst traffic folks can remember in Midtown. Talk about your blocked intersections.
What's a traffic light? Quick.
Terrible.
Terrible.
You can't get on any streets.
Watch what happens to him. I'll walk down 57th Street and actually get in front of him. Beat him down the block.
I've been waiting for you.
You walk faster than I drive.
Department of Transportation Commissioner Lucius Riccio saw this coming.
So we have to get people to understand things aren't back to normal yet. They won't be for several more days. They better leave their car at home and use mass transit.
Usually, New Yorkers are pretty good listeners, and when they're told not to bring their vehicle into town, usually they don't. What happened this time?
Well, I live in Manhattan, and I have to run around and do my errands, and it's impossible by mass transit.
Why'd you come to town?
Have to make a living. You have to, just like you working today.
Didn't they tell you not to bring your car in town today?
Did they? I didn't hear them.
Well, now hear this. If you bring your car in town tomorrow, says the Department of Transportation, the same thing that happened today will happen again tomorrow. There'll be gridlock in Midtown, and you'll be misery trying to get around in town. So the advice is don't bring your car to town. And that's it from here in Midtown. Vic Miles, back to you, Michelle.
Vic, isn't part of the problem that they're cleaning off the sidewalks all along the parade route in Fifth Avenue and throwing the snow out in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and crews are cleaning it up so that the parade and the spectators will have an easy time of it?
Well, Jim, I don't know about Fifth Avenue, but I know on many avenues that is the case. They have been moving the snow out into the street, and the big trucks going down, and the snow's still here. They've got to clean up, and people feel they've got to come to town. It's a double mess.
Okay.
Back to you guys.
Up next this evening, Stormfield with word of whether it'll stay warm enough to melt all this stuff.
And then later on, football's most sought-after free agent pays a visit to the Jets when we continue.
Mario Perillo, Mr. Italy, and Alitalia are the world's leading specialists to Italy. You know, I may not look it, but I've been at this for 50 years creating fantastic tours at affordable prices. Let Mario escort you from the Alps to Sicily. We take care of everything. You relax, free to enjoy Italy's monumental cities or the charming little villages off the beaten track. For this free Perillo brochure, see your travel agent or call 1-800-255-5000 now.
Now there's a book from Anderson Window Centers that turns windows and patio doors into works of art. For a brilliant composition of sunlight and living space, get brighter home ideas created by Merida, publishers of Better Homes and Gardens, only at your Anderson Window Center store. Brighter home ideas, book or video, $1.95. Call 1-800-336-2661.
Picture yourself or call 1-800-CHASE. Chase Manhattan. Profit from the experience.
For once, you'll be happy to hear no. No, 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 no. Because Dodge's no money down days are happening right now. Get a new Dodge Spirit at a low, low price. With no money down, no waiting, and no payments till July. Who can say no, no, no to that? No, 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 no. Dodge's no money down days with no payments till July. Hurry! We can't wait to say no.
All right, welcome back and take it away.
I will do that. All right, those of you who have got some plans for tomorrow, you're going to want to have an umbrella handy because we're looking at some rain coming our way. But for tonight until about midnight, not too bad. Humidity has gone up 10% at 70%. The winds right now from the south at 10 miles an hour, and here in New York, it's about 39 degrees. A large mass of wet weather is making its way to us. We're going to get hit with warm air first. That's the good news. Problem is we're also going to get hit by cold air after that. So what starts out as rain overnight tonight along the coastal areas will also be a mixed bag inland. Mostly rain throughout the area for the most of the day tomorrow. And then around drive time, changing back to snow over much of the area as that colder air makes inroads. And over the next several days, the 5-day forecast showing some very bitterly cold weather. For this time of year, the normal high should be 50 degrees. We'll get close to it tomorrow, but Thursday, 33 degrees. Friday, bright and sunny, but 35, 15 degrees below normal for this time of year.
A tough winter. Thank you, Storm.
Just ahead, a taxi cab ripoff caught on videotape.
Arnold Diaz confronts a cabbie who took passengers for a ride in a special Shame on You report.
Is that
next.
the same way you pocketed the $20?
USA Today asked car dealers which car they rated best. Who are we to argue?
Good news for people taking Cardizem.
I need a refill on my Cardizem.
You may want to see your doctor before your next refill, because there's another Cardizem available, Cardizem CD.
What's the difference?
Cardizem CD should save you money.
Can you give me Cardizem CD?
Only your doctor can change your prescription. Ask your doctor if Cardizem CD is right for you.
Cardizem CD. Thanks. I'll ask my doctor.
What you don't know can cost you your business. Turn to Bloomberg News Radio, 1130 AM, the news that matters to you.
Why do more people buy Ford trucks than any other? It's simple. Ford trucks are the best selling because they're a great value. Like the Ford F-150. It's the #1 selling full-size, and no truck in its class has a bigger payload. The Ranger is the #1 compact pickup, and it's been redesigned for '93. And the Aerostar is a great value with standard driver's side airbag and room for 7. If it's a new truck you want, buying a Ford is the easiest decision you'll make. See your Ford dealer and see for yourself.
Bally's, join now and get a 6-month alternate day membership for just $99 or get 25% off. Call 1-800-WORKOUT.
The Jane Whitney Show's moving to the Big Apple.
Because New York audiences are the best.
Be part of the excitement. Call 1-800-771-2700 for free tickets.
President's Month continues at your Tri-Honda dealer. Get a great deal on a new Civic. If you've ever been in a white house,
Tourists, beware whom you hail. As you might have heard before, there's a scam going on in this city.
Yes, this con game has landed at least one cabbie in our Hall of Shame. Channel 2's Arnold Diaz tells us all about it.
Shame, 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 shame on you.
Watch out, tourists. This taxi cab and driver are out to get you. What, do you make a living hustling tourists, sir?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, we saw you hustling them over there. How can you charge $10 to go 3 blocks? The driver is part of a well-organized tourist hustle that authorities know about but have been unable to stop. For 3 days, we watched the scam in action. It begins outside Grand Central Terminal, where the airport buses drop off tourists, many of whom need taxis. The out-of-towners are snared just as they get their luggage off the bus.
I have to go to the Roosevelt Hotel?
Yeah, Roosevelt Hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta talk to this man. You sound from California, from Canada. Where are you from?
Kentucky.
Kentucky Fried Chicken? Yeah.
This driver works with at least 2 other men, the guy with the gray jacket and the man with the beret. They help snag the tourists who don't suspect a problem because they're getting into a legitimate yellow cab. In this case, the tourist is actually a Shame on You producer wired for sound.
How much is it?
$9.25.
$9.25.
It should cost only $2 or $3 on the meter to go to the Roosevelt Hotel 3 blocks away. But in this cab, the meter is covered with black tape. The driver told our producer fares are based on a zone system, which of course is nonsense. Then he jacked up the already outrageous price when he dropped her off.
You pay all together, you know, be $10.25. Altogether, 2 tons.
Okay.
$10.25.
Okay.
2 tons.
Okay.
But the hustle still wasn't over. Our producer gave the cab driver a $20 bill, but he then fumbled with it and said, "What's this?" She said, "I thought I gave you a 20. He said, "No, here it is, a single." The authorities say there have been many victims of this hustle.
The passenger is very flustered at this point, takes back the $1 bill, which wasn't his in the first place, and gives him another $20. So this guy just got ripped off to the tune of $39.
The Taxi Limousine Commission says it's been unable to take away the cab owner's medallion because the victims are tourists who don't stick around long enough to testify in court. But we stuck around long enough to confront the hustlers.
Why'd you tell her there's a zone system in New York? There's no zone system for taxis. Yeah, but hold it.
And how about the tape covering the meter?
Look, you see that? You see that?
Yeah, no.
You see that black tape over your meter? What's the black tape doing over your meter, sir?
That tape right there. The tape you just took off right now.
Where?
Right there. The one you just, let me see your hand that you right there that you just put in your pocket, huh? Is that the same way you pocketed the $20 bill off of her? One of his cohorts tried to block our camera and then walked into oncoming traffic to get away from us.
You set the tourists up, right? You bring them over to him, right? Because we saw you operating too. You one of the hustlers?
One person who was glad to see us was the tourist who had just gotten into the cab before we came along.
Where are you from?
Holland.
Holland. Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
You didn't realize that you were almost hustled.
Yes, I realized, but just in time.
Now it's time to hustle into our Hall of Shame. Those involved in the taxi tourist trap. Out-of-towners, beware.
Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you.
All the many summonses against that driver have been dismissed because the complainants, all tourists, failed to show up in court. Now the head of the Taxi Limousine Commission says he's going to use a tape of our report to call that driver in for a hearing, seeking to revoke his taxi license and take away the cab's medallion, which is worth $134,000. We'll keep you posted.
Wouldn't a Taxi Limousine Commissioner starter at the terminal help, like as they have at the airport?
They have security guards going up and down the block. They have a regular taxi stand 1 block away, but that's not where the buses drop the passengers off.
Okay, hope to hear more on this one. Thank you, Arnold. Still ahead, Rock wrote with a superstar free agent talking to the Jets.
Plus the Yankees and the Grapefruit League, action from Florida, and all the sports in just a minute.